Hello, I am Beth Slutty, Superintendent West Fargo Schools, and today I'm here to talk to our Aurora families who are being affected by the proposed boundary adjustment to the Mustang feeder system. This is going to be a very informal video. It's about 15 minutes long, and it's just to walk you through the memo that you will find on our website to help you understand what decisions are being proposed or made and how it may affect your family and what your options are. So please bear with me if I cough or have to repeat myself or correct myself. Um, First thing I want to do is share this memo. And I get a lot of comments about why is this happening and so quickly and that it just appeared out of nowhere. And I want to first acknowledge that that is all true, that this has not been a very long timeline and it's a lot to absorb on such a short amount of time. And I also understand that families are very frustrated, and I'm sorry for that. I wish that it could have gone differently, but I do want to acknowledge that, and I don't blame people for being frustrated and upset. If I can try to help you understand, then maybe we can move forward together and try to figure out what is the best for your particular family. So first of all, the district is continuing to grow, and we are prepared, although it's a lot, 400 to 500 learners every single year is a lot. We can work with that, but this year we were hit with almost 650 learners. That put us well above being the third largest district in the state. Now we are the second largest district in the state. And with that, we also have very large schools. Sheyenne High School is the largest high school in the state. Liberty Middle School is the largest middle school in the state. West Fargo High School is the second largest. And Cheney, although it's the fourth largest, it's only 13 students fewer than the second largest. So it's relatively almost the same as the second and third. So our schools are very big, and they're getting bigger. We've had to add additional schools. Deer Creek, we've added 2019, Heritage Middle School, and of course, we just opened Horace High School in October. Several of our schools are getting additions, Brooks Harbor and Horace, so that we can accommodate learners there. But what really threw us off is that the growth wasn't as far south as we anticipated. We had anticipated that to be more in the Hawk feeder system. It wasn't. The growth was largely in the Mustang feeder system. So moving forward, we had a struggle last year with the pandemic, as everybody knows. We did not have a good handle on our numbers for several reasons. Our projections came in lower than anticipated. Fall of 2020, we had more students that were virtual learning or even went to homeschooling. We're not sure of how many families actually kept their children home for kindergarten instead of sending them that year. So we didn't have a real accurate understanding of what our enrollment was going to do. But we did find out as we were doing our workforce staffing for the fall 2021 school year that we had about 4 sections too many students at Freedom. And at that time, we just had to make the decision in July to move them to Deer Creek so that we could have room. So that really prompted a lot of conversations beginning in July 19 of 2021 with our Planning and Development School Board Committee. It was at that time that we had to make some decisions about what was going to happen at Freedom and Independence. And our board really needed to explore all of our options to save the most taxpayer money we could. So they asked us to engage with the architects to draft plans to add on to those two schools or to explore the option of building a new school. And keeping in mind that there wasn't a lot of land available for new schools, so that was also a challenge. But we did engage in that work. But where I've kind of done this rough red line to help you see, we spent all of that time engaging with architects and exploring those decisions because we couldn't make a decision about who is going to be moved until we knew what we were doing with the elementary schools and what that was going to look like. So it wasn't until December that we really got moving on that Mustang feeder system. I pushed out the informational video, and the rest, I guess you can see. So the first was we needed to identify where do we have room. I've already explained we don't have room at Cheney or West Fargo High. So we knew that they had to go to the Hawk feeder system. So then who's going to move? And we explored our schools in that feeder system, all of them. But why the district administration landed on the Aurora attendance west of the river were several considerations. First, if you looked at the students west of Cheyenne, there are approximately 280 learners because there's about 70 per grade level. That met the criteria for the number of students that we needed to move. Just to move a small number didn't get us where we needed to be. We looked at logical boundaries such as Cheyenne River and 40th Avenue. We looked at proximity to the feeder system. Aurora has no boundaries adjacent to Cheyenne or Liberty, so families would not drive by Cheyenne or Liberty to get to Heritage or Horace. The longevity of the boundary, I mean, to be very transparent, longevity has been really hard for us because things are changing so quickly. But this was the best case scenario based on what we could see in the foreseeable future. We were able to keep neighborhoods together. So right when a neighborhood where children play west of the river, those students can stay together as opposed to having literally a group of neighborhood children playing and one side of the road goes one school and one side goes to the other school. We try to avoid that. And then busing. So when considering busing, Osgood Elementary is a very, very dense neighborhood. There are a lot of children in a very small amount of space, and the vast majority of those students are in the walk zone. So if we would have taken that section of students, our expenses, and we would have had to add bus routes that we don't currently have, whereas Aurora, that is less the case. There's still a cost to transport students south, but that actually that was something else to consider, not a high factor, but a consideration. Things that we don't look at that people have asked me, I've been asked, why don't you move neighborhoods where the families don't own homes and live in apartments? That is not a factor. That is not equitable. That is not a way that we make decisions about the whole system, whether or not a family has a home. I've been asked about, well, what about activities and, how many athletes or how many are in this activity or that activity based on the neighborhood? The district has not valued making decisions based on where athletes or students who are in activities live. We provide opportunities at all of our schools for activities. We also have policies against students moving from school to school based on activities because we have equitable access at our different buildings. And then the district also, moving forward, looked at 3 different options to bring to the board. So you can see the 3 options. The first one is option 1, do nothing. The highlight shows the number of students in each year, and the shading means that's over capacity. So you can see what would happen, the cons of that: class sizes, relationship building, programming, workloads of our staff, even parking in the parking lot, traffic flow. All of those are factors. And the district strongly recommends that the board eliminates option 1 because that is concerning to us for providing opportunities and experiences for students and staff. The second option would be to move grades 5, 6, and 7 and allow 8th graders to go to 9th grade at Cheyenne. Now you can see that, the highlights, there is some concern here, but it is doable. And it would keep 1 grade level in the Cheyenne feeder system. But it still is a concern because both Sheyenne and Liberty are still over preferred capacity, even though they're not over their max capacity. All of those areas I mentioned earlier would still be impacted by the larger numbers. Also, if we continue to get higher than projected enrollment at Cheyenne and Liberty, we are back to where we were. We don't have anywhere to put these students. And then finally, in highlighted area below, I think people need to understand this. If you have a 8th grade student that would be 9th grade at Cheyenne, if the board opted for option 2, and you say have a 5th grader, we would not have the flexibility to allow those petitions because we wouldn't have room to put those siblings. and that would split families. So that also has not been our top option. The third option is to move grades 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I think it gives us the most relief from that overcrowding. It will allow us to, with families who have siblings, children who have siblings already at Cheyenne, we would be able to allow some of those families to stay together and then look at other hardships that families might have and still meet the needs of the students the best we can with all of the opportunities that we have. So the next step for the district, and I want to mention this as well, is that normally this process of a boundary change like this would happen as part of a long-range facility planning committee, and that usually happens before the district prepares to go up for a bond referendum. We did not anticipate having to do this spring. We thought we had more time before we were having to talk about building out Heritage and Horace. So that's another reason why we're in this situation. So that work has to start this spring. And these are some of the projects that we need to talk about. We know that we need about 2.5 years to bring a design to completion due to some of the supply chain limitations that we've been seeing. We don't know if that's going to get better or not, but that we would need to have a bond referendum would need to be voted on the fall of 2023 to get things ready for that next level. So on Monday night, the meeting starts at 6 p.m. There will be an opportunity for public comment. Each participant has 3 minutes to address the board. The board traditionally has not commented during public comment. They'll reserve their thoughts until we get to the action item. And then after 30 minutes, public comment stops. So you can see that if there's a lot of people that want to participate, they may not all get to speak. So that 30 minutes ends, and then they will move into the meeting, and then they will vote on the action item. And then those who didn't get to speak would have the opportunity to speak at the end of the meeting. But as you can tell, the item would already been voted on. So I just want to tell you that up front, you need to sign up in advance. So get there a little bit early, bring your ID with your address information. And then in closing, I just wanted to say to all of you that there will be an option to petition in. We'll open up that to petition to Cheyenne. We will open that up following the vote. That shortly, a day or two later, that will be open for 2 weeks. Again, we'll be looking at whether or not there's already a sibling there, and then whether or not there's hardship for the family. And again, we're not going to be able to take everybody, but we also have families who are very excited about the opportunity to go to Heritage and Horace, and they're asking, can we petition from Cheyenne to go to Heritage or Horace? And so when would that opportunity open up? And so we're having that conversation as well. If your child is going to be at Heritage and you have a sophomore at Cheyenne and you want them to go to Heritage too, we're having that conversation about when that window would open up as well. So I think that there are things that we can talk about for the family, but be open to what might be there for your child and have those conversations as a family, and know that regardless of the school you go to or the neighborhood you live in, that we strive very hard to provide equitable opportunities for all of our students and a guaranteed and viable curriculum. And we want what's best for all of you. And I thank you for your patience for watching this entire video. We're coming to the end of 15 minutes. I apologize. It's not the most professional, but I just wanted to talk to you. So reach out if you have questions to the district, and we will maybe see you on Monday night. And if not, we'll see you in the district. Have a great weekend. Thank you.